Between 2008 and 2010, we assembled a group of volunteers and staff to explore racial reconciliation for Woodland.
One thing the team zeroed in on was the way different ethnicities in our culture are often divided socioeconomically.
We know that following Jesus meant serving and relating to those living in poverty.
In order to guide the congregation in this mission, we went through a series in 2009 called Compassion by Command, focusing on how to build relationships and serve across socioeconomic lines.
As we've tried to live out these principles over the years, we've opened up our building to a food shelf run by Merrick Community Services and a housing program led by Catholic Charities. And they're helping us out really as on-site partners. They've provided us really important and much-needed expertise in serving people who are struggling with unstable housing and food insecurity.
There was at the time, and continues to be, a certain sense of responsibility that comes with our building. With this building, God has given us a territory and a people to steward and love.
In the journey of discerning and living into our identity, in 2007 and 2008, our pastor spent a long time talking about how we can best live out a biblical model of church in our modern culture.
We began this process with one main question. If we could start from scratch with Woodland Hills, how would we change things? Key themes that guided this conversation were: 1, recovering a model of church that could do justice to the Jesus vision of the kingdom; 2, becoming a missional church where actively serving the world; and 3, growing in authentic discipleship.
That important work about the very nature of church itself leads to 2 sermon series, Tapestry and Kindred.
These series helped us understand what church traditions shaped us. We identified 3 main threads: our original evangelical heritage, our charismatic leanings, and more recently, an emphasis on Anabaptist theology.
Now, it's not a specific denomination, but the Anabaptist tradition came out of the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century with really 6 core beliefs and values.
Believers' baptism, discipleship, simplicity, enemy love, kingdom community, and the separation of church and state.
While the Anabaptist tradition is certainly not perfect, they have a heart very similar to our own and a long tradition of living the theology that we preach at Woodland Hills.
So as we leaned into this Anabaptist tradition, we reconsidered our small group system. We realized that we weren't achieving the discipleship and the growth that we were seeking for our congregation. Our pastor's team recognized the need to offer deeper discipleship opportunities for our people, experiences that just aren't possible at a big weekend service.
We needed communities that were smaller than a big church, but bigger than small groups. And this led to the development of Sojourners, our house church network.
Sojourners house churches are also what we call missional discipleship communities. Missional because they're a witness to those outside the church. Discipleship because they're a place for learning to become more like Jesus.
And communities because they create a covenant family context where members commit to caring for each other's needs.
Another deeper discipleship initiative that we started in 2018 is SOMA, our School of Missional Apprenticeship. Now, SOMA is for adults of all ages and focuses on personal healing, spiritual growth, and practical equipping.
We sometimes refer to it as our seminary for everybody. And it's an intensive 9-month program where students are involved in daily classes, hands-on ministry, urban missional service, and deep transformative community.
In recent years, we've also continued to think about how to serve our neighbors and how we can use our building strategically. So instead of reinventing too many wheels, we've found organizations already working in the community and invited them to come into our space here.
The Merrick Food Shelf was our first on-site partner and a great example of the kind of win-win situations God has provided. See, we had tried providing our own food shelf for years, but it was struggling because we lacked the capacity and expertise to run it. Merrick had both. But they were limited because they were trying to run food distribution out of a house in a residential neighborhood. We decided to partner up, and that was just the beginning.
We now have several organizations sharing our building, and we don't charge for the space because we're after the same thing, serving the community. We can offer volunteer help and an inexpensive base of operations, and our on-site partners provide our community with things we never could on our own.
Food, housing assistance, childcare, after-school programs, refugee resettlement services, and shelter for homeless families.
One of our more unusual partnerships is at the Plaza Theater next door. When we purchased our church building, the theater was a part of the real estate deal.
It's been a beloved part of the local community since 1967. But since 2013, it's also been a place where young people participate in a job skills program that we run with The Lift,
A nonprofit that does youth development on the east side. It's really an honor to be able to serve our neighbors through all these partnerships, and it's energizing to be able to do the kind of things that God has called us to do.
Hopefully this video has given you at least some kind of an idea about what we think about church and what we think about the kingdom and how we view Jesus and what we think our responsibility to other people are and things like that. Maybe you're visiting for the first time, maybe you've been here for a real long time but have never just jumped in either way. We're a work in process, but we'd love to have you join us in that process as we seek to follow a Jesus-looking God who's raising up a Jesus-looking people to transform this world in a Jesus kind of way. Thanks for watching. God bless you.